Welcome to Decades of Horror, the classic era.
Such a deep wound and no bloodstains. I have a bad feeling about this.
This is episode 126, recorded May 22nd, 2022.
Gruesome magazine.
I'm just never prepared for what comes out. My name is Jeff Mohr. On this podcast, we cover the good, the bad, and maybe even the ugly horror films released between 1920 and 1969. In each episode, we discuss the monsters, spirits, psychos, and villains that have haunted movie-going audiences since the dawn of film history. We are Decades of Horror, the classic era, and we partner with Play Now Media on 3 of their channels: the Classic Sci-Fi Movie Channel, the Classic Horror Movie Channel, and the Wicked Horror TV channel. They're all streaming services that you can subscribe to, or you can do them free with ads, and you can watch episodes of the classic era on them. So check it out, and they've got great movies. In fact, today's pick was it the Classic Sci-Fi Movie Channel, right? Yeah. With me this week are my incredible co-hosts. First up is Whitney Collazo, an accomplished artist and makeup artist, and part-time ghost and bruja.
How's it going?
I'm doing fine. I'm trying to get a reaction out of it.
Well,
What?
I mean, I tried to keep it simple with what you could say about me, but I appreciate that. I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm excellent. Got a granddaughter, graduated from high school today.
All right.
Congratulations.
So
That's great.
Congrats.
Next up is Chad Hunt, co-host of Decades of Horror, the All of Them, film producer and director with Recalic Productions, and a comic book writer and artist. Chad, how are you?
Oh, I'm fine.
You're not going to keep speaking in dubbed?
No.
No? Okay.
I ran out of subtitles and I hate reading those. So.
And finally, it's Daphne, who's awesome, stupendous, and likable as hell. How are you today, Daphne?
I am very well, thank you. It's nice to see you guys.
Excellent.
Good to see you.
So, on this podcast, we start off with some basic details about the film. Then we do some taglines and first impressions, and then take off talking about whatever we want to talk about. Our topic today is Goke, Body Snatcher from Hell. Directed by Hajime Sato. Written by Kaitsuo Kobayashi and Susumu Takaku. Based on the Goke Midoro TV series by Tomio Sugisu, also known as Soji Ushio. I'm not sure why he uses 2 names, but the cast includes Teruo Yoshida, Tomami Sato, Aitsuo Kitamura, Hideo Ko, and Kathy Horan, among others. Production company is Shochiku, the longest running production company in Japan. It was released on August 14th, 1968 in Japan, July 31st, 1970 in the US. It's also known as Kyuketsuki Goke Midoro, or which translates to Vampire Goke Midoro. And did you, Chad, have you ever seen that? Anybody seen that anime?
No.
No.
Apparently that was an anime like for a year in the 60s or maybe even later. I don't know. Also known in German as Goke Vampir aus dem Weltall, the vampire from outer space. And a short synopsis of this film The survivors of a plane crash in a remote area of Japan are attacked by blob-like alien creatures that turn their victims into bloodthirsty vampires.
Sure do.
And this picture is the flying saucer that the aliens fly, and that the first vampire is walking into, or the first soon-to-be vampire is walking into, where he gets changed. There's a lot of cool visuals in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, taglines.
Already?
Yeah, we're doing taglines before we do the posters, because then you'd see the taglines. We want to
Okay.
prize.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, your taglines for this week's film Body Snatcher from Hell are as follows. All new, never before has such a bone-chilling film been made. Dun, dun, dun. Then I drop down and go dot, dot, dot.
Yeah.
A fiendish vampire from a strange world in outer space drains his victims' blood and turns them into weird corpses. Not regular corpses, weird ones.
And a strange world, not just a world in outer space. Okay. And a fiendish vampire. Not just those regular vampires. Yeah.
It seems we have a human beast that thrives on the blood of men and women and throws all mankind into the threat of extermination. That's your third tagline right there, boy.
A human beast.
And last but not least, an oozing, creeping mass of terror, inching, maybe it's itchy too, maybe that's why it's doing what it's doing, its way across your body, seeking your blood. Turning you into a weird corpse vampire zombie.
I know. That's it for the taglines. I tried to find more. I watched the trailer thinking I'd get some good blurbs going across here, but they were all in Japanese, so I couldn't read them. Okay, so I got a few posters here. This Japanese poster, which is disturbing.
I like this one.
And
It's pretty awesome.
it's actually kind of true too, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We get that icky face with the one eyeball in it.
Mm-hmm.
Nice colors.
Definitely. I mean, the artwork is true to the story.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I most of these are, I think. This is the German. I think it's a DVD cover.
That is
Again,
cool.
the color is really cool.
Yeah, but I don't think there's any green people in it, but
No,
they were kind of weird.
I like the
And
yellow
then-
suit.
I do too.
And then this basic U.S. drive-in poster.
Bloody pit of horror.
Yeah, Chad, that oozing, creeping mass of terror tagline I had to get from that little tiny print under the flying saucer there.
Oh my gosh.
Because there was only 3. There had to be more.
You need a raise, Jeff. You need a raise.
And then Bloody Pit of Horror. Have you seen that?
I was going to ask you guys, if you've seen it.
In blood color and cinemascope. I have not. 2 shockers of unbelievable horror. So, basically we take kind of the same poster work, but then we felt it necessary to throw in the flying saucer just to make sure people knew. And then this isn't much for artwork, but I want to make sure people know about this. The Eclipse brand at Criterion has this 4-disc set. When horror came to Shochiku, the production company, it includes the X from Outer Space.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I've been wanting to watch the Living Skeleton, but it's only place I ever see it streaming is on the Criterion Channel.
X from Outer Space is kind of crazy too.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a nice collection. It's DVDs. It's not Blu-ray, but still.
Genocide, I think, is a bug show.
I love some bug shows.
I like bug shows.
Okay,
Like a bug.
Well, let's
horror movie.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Let's go to first impressions, and since this is Daphne's pick, we'll go with her first. Daphne.
Okay. I have not seen it before. Just looking for something interesting, and Body Snatcher from Hell totally got my attention, and I loved the pictures, and so I was excited to watch it, and I thought it was fun. Some of the visuals were really cool. I love some of the crazy colors. I love the use of the crows running into the windows and kind of being there when they wake up and stuff. I thought that was cool and gross. It was fun and wacky, and I really liked it.
Okay. Fun and wacky, I think. That was, okay. Whitney, how about you? Had you ever seen this before?
I have never seen this, never heard of this, and I might need you guys to help me out here because it sort of reminded me of that one that one film, the Baba, the one with the vampires in space sort of deal. Like I can't remember the title, but it reminded me of something in that same
Planet of
Vampires from Outer
Planet of the
Vampires. Yep.
Yes, it reminded me of something of that notion, like because of what Daphne is saying, colorful and wacky, because of how far out there it was with the colors and the art. It was, and the special effects were pretty crazy to me. But no, I thought this was just wild. But vampires and airplanes and Japanese kind of creatures and people kind of colliding. It's really, man, I don't know. I think Daphne really took me on that one with her description. But yes, it's something I've never seen or heard before. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chad, how about you?
Me too. This is the first time I've ever seen it. I've heard of it, but this is my first time seeing it, and holy cow! This had everything. This movie had everything in it. It had birds committing suicide. It had zombies. It had vampires, aliens, blobs.
Yes.
Outer spaceship, end of the world scenarios. One
Disaster.
of the best disaster movies.
Assassins, hijackers, bombs on planes.
Oh my gosh, bombs.
Rifles.
Yeah. Random rifles laying around a plane that anybody could shoot. And did.
Acid too.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. But having said all that, it was just I really, really enjoyed it. It was just so crazy that it just kept you wondering what's going to happen next. I mean, literally, what is going to happen next? And some of the most dainty, blood-sucking scenes I've ever seen in a sci-fi movie.
It's right here.
I mean,
that's true. Very true.
Yeah, and holy cow! But the look of the first guy that was taken over by the aliens was sort of cool with the all white suit, and the way he was taken over, and the skull splits down the front, and the blob goes into the brain and sort of takes over. And yeah, it had some really, really cool stuff that I really liked. And the ending, I love apocalyptic endings. And one of my favorite guys that does that the best, I think, is John Carpenter. But I think this one can sort of go toe to toe with any John Carpenter film as far as apocalyptic endings go, and ending on a downbeat ending. But yeah, loved it, and it was a good pick. I'm glad we picked it.
Yeah, I was glad you picked it too, Daphne. I have seen this before. It was a few years ago, and I'm glad you picked it because I was so gobsmacked by the stuff that happens in the movie. I didn't really follow the story at all. You know, I'm kind of like you sort of follow along and you kind of get what's going on. The plane crashes, there's a flying saucer, and they're looking for somebody that might have a bomb on board, but they find a guy that's got a gun on board. And then we also know there was an assassination of a British ambassador or something like the day before, I guess. And but once that guy walks out and starts walking towards the flying saucer, from that point on, I totally lost track of what was going on. I just was like going, what the? I mean, all the stuff that happens, and he splits open, this gooey silver stuff crawls inside his head, that it just goes just on and on. Running all over. There's these random buckets of gasoline sitting outside this crashed airplane.
Yeah.
I just don't know. So, but I this time through, I just loved it. I just loved everything about it. And because I read a little bit more about it ahead of time, I got into the things like the music. The music was awesome. Okay. So before I ramble on too long, so the director again is Hajime Sato, and he didn't do a whole lot of movies, but right before this, he did like 4 episodes of Captain Ultra in 1967.
Captain Ultra.
So I don't know, and then he did a movie called The Golden Bat, which I think is supposed to be sort of like a Japanese version of Batman, maybe. A superhuman mummy named the Golden Bat. So I got to see that. I mean,
that makes sense, yeah.
That's all there is to it. So what did you guys think? Anything in particular you saw with the direction, or?
Wow. Wow. I was thinking about it, and I just thought it was interesting. Some of the choices, or I don't know if it would be just the director or the cinematographer or the editor, but when they would splice in the, I'm assuming they were real news reels from Vietnam, I guess, and kind of how gruesome those were. And I was just kind of, I didn't know what really was going on with all that stuff. I mean, on one hand, it was super anti-war, but there's, well, the two of the really icky guys are like a bad politician and a weapons dealer, I guess. So they didn't come off looking good either. But and then just some of the, like we were talking about the colors totally blew me away. And I can see where it's compared with Bava on that, even though it's not the same. But a couple of the scenes, like that one I was saying with the bat in the beginning, with the bats flying up against I mean, that was really creepy and icky. And also when the pilot was waking up after they crashed, there was this crow that was just kind of waking him up. And I just thought, that's kind of interesting that these crows are these birds are involved, but no one really mentions it again. But but there were definitely, I loved some of the color and the color in the spaceship specifically. And yeah, it's just it's such a different, strange movie that I really appreciated it. And I am really interested to hear, or like wonder what he was thinking, or what his intention was, or if he had a plan, or
There was no plan.
Okay. I buy that. I totally buy that.
Any guy that can juggle so many things going on at the same time, I take my hat off to you. Because there was something happening. There was political espionage, political drama, political this and that. There was Vietnam messages, war messages, anti-war messages, and I was like, man, what are these flashback scenes? And I didn't know whether the first one, I think, was the blonde girl. And I was like, is she remembering something? She wasn't in Vietnam. Her husband was in Vietnam. So that was a little confusing at first. But then they kept interspersing those scenes in the weirdest places for the rest of the movie, in between random avalanches.
Yes. Lots of rock falls.
Yes. Well, when I thought of like all of these, scenes coming in from like war, Vietnam, I mean, and that's when I was thinking about the color red a whole lot, seeing that, okay, the birds, like suicide, and seeing their blood splat against the plane window, and then they're trying to make sense of it, like, oh, there's what was the character that said that there's something wrong?
The space biologist,
something wrong in the atmosphere.
Yeah, in the atmosphere. And then seeing again, like with the stuff as far as the political and historic stuff in Vietnam, but the color red, it's just a lot of things that I felt that color has a lot to do with being controlled or being out of control. So I just kind of thought about that, and the color red of seeing that in that Bava film. I just thought, that's just like the main thing that I thought about was, okay, there's the vampire blood or vampire stuff that's playing out differently, but it makes me think of this. But yeah, it's I don't know what to say about
I know, words are hard.
They escape me right now. I mean, it's like what Chad is saying, I'm trying to make sense of what's going on, and like there is a lot going on in this movie.
I'm gonna have to go back and try and find the anime now and watch it.
Yeah, that does sound cool.
Yeah.
I didn't get it the first time I watched it. I didn't get all the way to the end, and I just kind of started reading about it, and then people started referencing the end of the movie, and I was like, okay, I gotta stop reading and see what happens at the end. And I loved the end, and I totally did not see it coming. I mean, as far as that kind of a dark, this is it, it's over, you're going down. And I love those endings, and I liked how just all of a sudden it cracked me up that they just kind of walked over the hill and they are at a freeway or something at a toll booth. But everybody's, it's I love that scene. I thought that was a great scene at the toll booth. But and then all of a sudden it's over. You thought what was bad was happening to you guys in the plane. This is what's going on outside on the other side of the hill.
On the other side of the hill, yeah.
Exactly.
If only we had left earlier. I love the weird stuff that happens in here, like the plane crashes and there just happens to be rocks in the formation of steps right outside the door of the plane.
I thought, it was obviously Japanese style special effects, but I thought the plane crash was actually pretty good. I mean, it seemed pretty smooth fly. I don't know. all the perspectives and that kind of stuff seemed well done.
Yeah, it seemed like even though we're trying to grasp like the director's vision, like that the visual aspects
There was
of
no vision.
of the plane and how the settings were for that, like it was pretty neat. Yeah.
I got the feeling they were trying to tell a large story in a short period of time.
Yeah.
You know.
So
And
it was a big story, all right.
It should have been something that was maybe serialized for TV.
yes.
Other than trying to cram it into an hour and a half. But if they were going to do a live action version of an anime, I would think. But yeah, but it was just so crazy. It literally held your attention trying to figure out what he was going to do next, because I heard references to he's a vampire. No, he's a zombie. Oh, it's an alien. Which is it? Is it an alien who sucks blood, or is it an alien who turns people into vampires who suck blood, who are then become zombies? But I liked it.
It's interesting. I found an article about the film and the director on Turner Classic Movies, but most of the stuff that the guy says, and I'm not saying he's not true, he's not right. It was written by David Kellett. But when you look at his IMDb, the movies, some of the movies he references aren't listed there. So either his complete filmography isn't in IMDb, or titles got translated or something. But he said he had his directorial debut in 1965 with Kaiden Samushi Otoko, which translates to The Ghost of the Hunchback in the U.S. And then he did a couple of starring vehicles for a young Sonny Chiba.
Yay.
Which includes the Golden Bat, which he describes as a costume superhero film in the Batman mold, but with a color scheme that made the 60s Batman TV series look muted and restrained.
Oh my gosh.
And then another one, The Terror Beneath the Sea. So anyway, it's nice that you brought that up, Whitney, because Baba was a big influence on him. He was a big fan of Baba. So
I could tell
all this crazy color and cuts and things were, I think, and gloves.
Yes, white gloves. White,
white gloves. In this one. And this was his first movie for Shochiko. Now on IMDb, he doesn't have that many credits, so I don't know if he has more or not. It just shows 11 credits. So I'll have to do some searching elsewhere for that. But yeah, it's an insane movie, and and you got to hand it to the writers too, I guess. The Susumu Takaku or Tanaka and Kayutsu Kobayashi. This is crazy stuff. Really crazy stuff.
You mentioned
what, Daphne?
I was going to say, Jeff mentioned the music, and the music really caught my attention first as well. And I just didn't really know kind of what side I came down on it, but I was reading some of the stuff from that TCM article, and I love how the composer is described as a kamikaze jazz musician whose deranged compositions fairly scream for attention and are simultaneously irritating, infectious, and addictive. Yes, that's perfect. That's exactly that's an excellent description.
Yeah.
And his name is Shunsuke Kikuchi.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I could not read subtitles, pay attention to the plot, and listen to the music all at the same time.
I know.
No,
it's a lot.
That's right.
I'm sure the music was fine, Sure, the music was fine, but I don't remember any music whatsoever.
Oh, the music was awesome. The music was like, it was sort of like a cross between, The Creature, that 4-note theme, is it, or is it a 3-note? And the music for Godzilla, there was a repetition in there, but it was changed just enough that it was hard to like just go. I'd hear those same sequences of notes over them, and as soon as I'd kind of start getting with it, then it would change slightly.
I'm gonna have to take your word for it.
Yeah, the music was perfect for this movie. I mean, it's like it was this movie in music. If you just heard the music, the soundtrack, it's the same thing.
So this
it almost hurt to watch this.
All right, so I'm going to ask you guys, hopefully you know what this is. Dragon Ball or Red Dead Wagon?
Dragon Ball I've heard of. I've never heard of
Dragon Ball Z, he did a ton of composing for those.
Oh, wow. I used to watch some of that.
Yeah.
Red Dead Wagon has got like 30 TV movies, Russ. Just a ton of that stuff. But anyway, and apparently Tarantino was a fan of this movie too, and copied some of the imagery or scenes for different scenes in Kill Bill.
Oh.
And the music, I think. Anyway, wackadoodle. So we have this plane, and the plane crashes, and it's not a real big plane, but you have the pilot and the co-pilot, and then you have the stewardess, and then you have a senator, and Mr. and Mrs. Tokuyasu, the businessmen, and then there's
the weapons guys.
Yeah, then there's the hijacker / assassin / vampire. Mrs. Neal, who's the blonde woman whose husband died in Vietnam. She was going to his body. Dr. Momotaki, the psychiatrist. And Toshiyuki Saga,
who loves seeing people pushed to their absolute limits and watching their reactions. Not creepy at all.
No. And he'd lean
and Mrs. Neal decides to shoot the pilot. The most normal guy out of all of them. She shoots the pilot.
And Ellen, and then also what was the one guy's name? Matsumiya, who was, I'd kind of described him as the young boy. If you look, so in the top picture we have the pilot, the co-pilot, then the hijacker wearing his white clothes and his white gloves and his automatic pistol, and the stewardess. The next picture is Mrs. Neal in one of her many scream scenes there. The next picture is, I think the guy on the left is the scientist. I think he calls himself like a space biologist or something.
Yeah.
And then that's I thought of him as the boy, but he had a bomb in his pocket. And the co-pilot, and then Mr. Mono, the senator.
On the far right.
And then at the bottom is the co-pilot and the stewardess. And at the end of the movie, they're the only ones left.
Look at that third. I want you to look at this third picture closely. Third from the top.
Yeah.
Mrs. Neal has just shot the pilot, right? The only good guy in the whole scenario. Now I want you to look at the faces of these other three idiots standing behind the pilot. Even they can't believe she didn't shoot one of them first.
Well,
I mean, the pilot is supposed to look surprised, but these three are like, I can't believe she didn't shoot one of us first.
Yeah. I think the only ones I don't have a picture of are the psychiatrist and the couple, the business Oh, I do have a picture of the businessman. I didn't have a picture of his wife. I don't think. Anyway. But yeah, it's a fairly limited cast of like, what, 9 people? 3, 4, 5, 6,
somewhere
7,
around that.
8, 9, 10, 11. I guess 11. So
But
9 people die. What?
Out of all the people, like seeing the blonde and then finding out that she was in green slime,
I know.
it's just wild. I'm like, oh, she should have known better. No, I'm kidding.
She was hanging out in Japan, and that was pretty much
Yes.
the same year.
That's pretty cool, though.
Mm-hmm.
Worst shot.
She was
ever.
also in Latitude
She hits the
Zero.
pilot. She hits the pilot, but then when the bad guy's chasing her at the end, she's shooting rocks like 5 feet away on the other side.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was wondering if those bullets supposed to be going through him and then hitting the rocks or something.
I don't know.
Anyway,
She's the only person I think actually hit anybody. I mean, everybody has been shot at some point.
The first time she shoots right down the aisle full of people and doesn't hit anybody, apparently. I mean, she shoots.
Yeah.
You're going, oh my God, who'd she shoot? Well, there's nobody laying there, nobody holding them. Anyway, she was in King Kong Escapes and The X from Outer Space. She was doing the thing there in Japan for like 3 or 4 years in Latitude Zero. But boy, was she obnoxious. I'm sorry, but she said the most inane things all the time. I hate war. It makes everybody so miserable.
I hate war. It makes my armpits itch. And then the stewardess like, here, let me get a towel then for your head. Poor woman.
So what do you think was the character you most loved to hate?
The senator.
That hard drinking senator.
Yeah. Just
my, that guy was. He starts off just acting a little kind of aloof and like he's trying to, the businessman is bugging him. Although we find out later that the businessman has bribed him with like 300 million yen in order to get a 1 billion yen contract or something crazy.
And gave him his wife.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, and gave him his wife. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I also threw in my wife as a treat.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, it was.
Businessmen didn't play in the 60s, boy. I can tell you that much right now.
But that senator is just terrible. I mean, he starts mauling the guy's wife at one point, and then the guy hands him a bottle of whiskey, and he starts chugging that down. And then when he can't, then he needs water, and the Mrs. Deal apparently drained all the water out, dabbing water on her face with a hanky or something. Oh, I didn't know that was for drinking.
What a maroon.
Oh
God, so many little things like that. So,
and what was it, a stewardess, and that was the pilot. Like they tried to save him, but he just turns around and he kicks him out of the plane once they try to save him.
Yeah.
Locks the door.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I was thinking to myself when those two did that, like they should know better not.
Yep.
They should know he's gonna be trash. He's gonna be treating them like trash. I'm like, yeah, that just he did.
Again, like for the fourth time.
Yes. Like why are you saving this jerk?
Yeah,
Not to mention the time that it
What's
took.
that?
That took them, like how much time it was when they were waiting on him. Like it just seemed like there was so much time, like trying to get back to the plane, and they're looking, and I don't know. It's just me is thinking about the time of them looking back and forth for this guy. I'm like, he should be right in front of you. Why are you waiting to go?
Well, we start off with that. So then the before the plane crashes, the pilots get a radio message that they've got a bomb threat. And so they're supposed to go through and look at everybody's suitcases. And that's how they find the assassin. But he's not the bomber.
Exactly.
And this kid has the bomb. And then at some point, he just totally and completely volunteers. Nobody's seen him with a bomb or anything.
No.
He just goes,
Here you
it
go.
was just a prank call. I didn't really have a bomb.
Here you go.
Like,
Anybody want this bomb? Go ahead.
anyway, there was just so much that. So the boy right away, he takes off running out of the plane because he doesn't want to get caught as the bomber, hides the bomb, and then the co-pilot's chasing him, and they got this neat little cliff set up that you can apparently run across sideways.
Yeah.
for long lengths of time, and then also whenever you need it, a bunch of rocks fall down the side of the cliff. Yeah, like you were talking about.
And only in one area because they knew exactly where to stand, so the rocks wouldn't hit them.
They wouldn't move.
Right.
Yeah.
They're like holding against the wall while it's happening.
Extraordinary filmmaking.
Like if I stand here,
I'm just gonna wait here.
Yeah.
I'll stand here and cover her, and none of the rocks will.
I've timed it. The other 25 times it happens, it'll stop.
They're
in 5 minutes.
styrofoam anyway,
Keep
so they won't
going.
hurt.
Oh, so funny.
But then
it is funny. We think we're funny, right?
Yes.
when the guy comes, then when the vampire's chasing him, and the stewardess, then he stops where the rocks are coming down, and until the vampire catches up with him, and then there's a magical break in the rock fall that he darts through, and then that crushes the vampire. Now, when the Noriko, after she's converted, I guess, and then she goes and gives that little speech as the alien, which I wish I knew more about the Japanese language, because it seemed like she started every sentence with wadi wadi, and I didn't know what that was.
I don't know.
Well,
Japanese.
I think it was nani, which is what? Nani. It sounds like nani. When somebody's surprised or shocked, it's like, what?
I don't know.
I learned that from anime.
It was great. Wadi wadi. I should ask my granddaughter. She's big into anime. Maybe she knows. Wadi wadi. The only Japanese I know I learned on Shogun.
And Richard Chamberlain's Japanese was horrible.
Yeah. Arigato. That's probably it. All right. So these guys. So the plane is flying, and before anything happens, the pilots look at each other and go, "Wow, this guy's really red." Yeah, it's like blood.
That's what I'm
Which
saying.
is what you'd say, right?
There's a lot of red.
Yep.
And then they see this glowing light coming towards them. And if you wonder, it looks like there's something else in there on that picture, that bottom picture. Well, that's the flying saucer is the light, but that other stuff, that's the blood splattered on the windshield from the suicidal crows.
From the bird, yeah.
Yeah, whenever the bird hits a window, it's like somebody threw a bucket of blood on the window.
Yeah.
Just
more blood than physically possible in the animal.
that is included in the animal.
And it definitely sounded like a raw egg cracking.
Yeah.
Every time it hit.
So the plane crashes, and then when our lead villain leaves, I just thought the saucer was pretty cool.
Yeah,
it just looked neat, and they had these little things on the bottom that were revolving around.
I feel like I've seen this saucer in another movie or something before.
They will have. It's
I thought the same thing, but then I remembered, like, wait a minute, we just had a like blood moon, like eclipse type thing kind of happened just not too long ago. So I was thinking about that a little bit.
Well, our last episode was about alien invasion too.
That's right.
Yeah.
15 years later, they go to Japan.
I like how they kind of stuck with this color theme inside the ship, though, too. because it had like the orange, almost like stained glass on the inside. I thought that was just really cool that they did.
They had
that
these
they did
really
that in
weird,
there.
like irregular
Mhm.
panels, or
Patterns.
something
Mhm.
behind him. So yeah, he goes in there and his head splits open. Just
Yeah.
And it's different, you know,
Mhm.
for an effect for something that's like alien vampiric
Mhm.
to me. I
Mhm.
thought, okay, this is really different. I
Mhm.
actually like this idea of something like
Yeah.
controlling that. I kind of saw it as like a way of like controlling some mindset there. 'Cause I felt
Yeah.
like there's a lot of
Mhm.
that going on.
Mhm.
So yeah.
It's a very direct path straight in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that's where the whatever it is. I guess that's the alien that crawls up into his head, or what?
Mhm.
It's so weird.
It is so weird.
And
And then
I don't know if it's on the bottom one, but there's definitely one scene where it's like it's a silver glove
Mm.
kind of
Yeah,
working
yeah.
its way
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's the bottom one is where when they light him on fire with the those buckets of gasoline that just happen to
Yeah.
be
Just
handy
happened to be
outside
laying
there,
around.
Yeah.
in the middle of nowhere. That it
They
crawls
had
out,
they had the
and then it
means to
did look
destroy
like there
this
was a
thing.
hand on there going. "Ugh,"
At any time, they had the means to destroy this. There was bombs laying outside the plane, buckets of gasoline, and if only they could have worked together,
Right.
they
So
could have
many
amassed a
Apparently,
things.
plan.
it's not a big, like they could be burned, but they could also be thrown off cliffs, and
Yeah.
or sometimes they even just jump off cliffs, or hit with avalanches kills them. So it's not a real super secret thing. But wow, those gooey things I thought were crazy. That just was.
It was a
Where do
good
you think?
effect.
How do you think of that?
I don't even know. I mean, I can't. With the effects and everything.
It's such a great fake head.
Yeah.
In the first place, it's just it just made it all that much more kind of weird to look at and kind of figure out what was going on.
Seeing the metallic stuff ooze and I don't know. I'm
Well, and it
still
looked
figuring it
when it's coming across the ground, it looked kind of blue.
Mhm.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
and then it kind of looks blue in one of those. The lighting was just crazy, and that silver iridescence kind of took on whatever color they were hitting it with. But yeah, it climbed right in that slit, magically opens, and then that thing crawls up you into the slit, and then apparently controls you and turns you into a blood-sucking fiend. There's no real way of us knowing what that has to do with anything.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. That it didn't
Because
make
later,
any sense.
yeah, when they find all the people dead on the highway, they don't look
Mm-mm.
like they've been vampired, or they don't have slits in their head. And anyway,
I don't know if you guys said something about this before when I got kicked out, but I love the sound that it made too when it opened up the mark on the head. It was gross. It was great.
It was gross.
it's
I did
bad.
notice towards the end when you were saying some of the people didn't look like they were, consumed in a certain way, but like seeing towards the end where you would see certain bodies have that earthy and skeletal look, that almost crumbling look to some of the people in the outside world, that was really crazy to me. And thinking back about what happened to the woman who jumped off the cliff, and then seeing the after effects of her, and then seeing all of that stuff up close and her, like, oh, okay, it's consistent, sort of.
That's another thing I liked was the ashy bodies.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we'll jump to that one.
Yes.
Because,
Uncle Herman.
well, and I swear, so that picture is the toll booth attendant, but I think it's the exact same head they used for when the woman.
The woman, yeah. With
I
that
think
little
so,
have the
too.
exact same eye.
down there.
Slit, yeah. So,
Yeah.
but I thought it was cool when that happened. See, is that the one?
It's just
Which
not something
one was
I
it
expect.
where the wind started blowing and their body just blows?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the
That was the professor at the end after he walks over by the
yes.
saucer.
Yeah.
And the thing crawls out, he falls down, he blows away. The first evil vampire, when he gets burned up, he falls down, and it's like it's a person-shaped sandcastle or something. The sand just starts falling down. I was waiting. They cut it off. You could see his eye center. I thought, oh, I can't wait until I see the eyeball roll out, but they cut it before that. So yeah. For some reason, the eyeball didn't turn into sand. This sounds crazy. I'm sure talking about it if somebody hasn't seen this movie. But, so here's where they're sucking a couple people. This is the other guy you kind of like seeing it in the bottom picture. You like seeing him get nailed. He's the one who gave his wife away for the defense contract, supposedly.
Chad was right. I was just gonna say, Chad, you're right. When he's just kind of pecking her on the cheek.
Yeah.
He's looking at her, like from the angle. He was like,
yeah. It's like
Yes.
I did like the way they would light them after their blood was drained. They would whiten the face up a little bit and show that supposedly their blood was drained. There's no way you got that much blood out of those few little. It's really good. It's really good.
There's no blood left. When the co-pilot and the stewardess finally get away, well, they run out of the plane, and finally they get out the door before the senator. The senator tries to shove his way out, and I don't remember what happens. And because there's a big hole in the side of the plane because the bomber blew it up.
Yeah, and here, let me put this chair in front of the hole. That'll hold
know.
off this outer space
a couple
vampire.
of cushions. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, they escape and they go over hill, over dale. You know, we're in this kind of sandy mountain cliff place, and all of a sudden they're in a bunch of trees. The next thing you know, they walk down this one hill and there's a highway, but it's filled with cars not going anywhere and with dead bodies in them, I guess. It's not real clear.
Stand.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they keep walking down the highway apparently, and get out to, I don't know, where are they? Out on that little rock and water. I don't know.
I'm not
how
sure.
they picked that, but the camera kind of starts panning. Oh, they see a saucer fly across in the sky, and then it goes out, pans way out, so that we see the Earth in the background from outer space, and then you see all these saucers going towards Earth. And then
it was cool how the Earth changed colors from like a vibrant blue to a gray, or to a red, and then a gray, like it just died. You know,
by the end it looked kind of like the moon or something. You know, it was just kind of. So, yeah, pretty bleak. Pretty bleak.
It really was.
And I liked how they, you know, like you guys were saying, they showed the Earth and you kind of see stuff is happening to it. And then you see one or two spaceships and, you know, then all of a sudden you see this whole armada or whatever, you know, coming in. I like how they just kind of didn't really hit you over the head with that until it kind of slowly comes there, you know. Well,
I think I wonder if there was an intentional, like a cross section of society on this plane.
Yeah.
You know, because we have, so there's a guy representing the government who's the evilest person, most cynical person there. And then there's the business representative. And then there's the guy that was supposed to be the bomber. He's sort of like the young fanatic or rebel or something. And then we have a scientist and a psychiatrist. And then I guess the co-pilot and the stewardess are sort of like every man or every person, you know.
Well, I got the feeling that that's kind of what the underlying message of the whole thing was, how evil people can be to get ahead.
Yeah, definitely.
And will do anything to get ahead.
Right. Even the space biologist or whatever, you know, you kind of think, oh, he's a pretty decent guy. And then he's like, no, I want to see this. I want to see what the vampire does. I need to observe this, you know? And it's like, what, you know, it's like, I thought you were one of the good guys and you're just willing to send someone out there because you want to see how this person, this scientific mind, how this alien kills people.
Yeah. The psychiatrist wants to study people going crazy or at their worst. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that definitely was part of the many that was in this story, was this kind of psychology of humans and evil and stuff like that. So much.
Well, the senator reminded me of so many characters in so many movies. I think there's a guy kind of like that in Train to Busan.
I was thinking that too. Yeah.
That's you know, under normal circumstances would be looked to be a leader, but then he turns into a sniveling little self-centered self-preserving character. Okay,
this was fun.
But I'm not kidding. I mean, you start watching this and you're thinking, literally, when I first saw this, I'm thinking, okay, so there's somebody just got assassinated, but they're looking for a guy who's doing a bomb. Obviously, this guy who's sitting there with the white gloves on and the sunglasses,
and no luggage
about him.
I've been sick.
And they open up his suitcase, and the
in the back room,
clumsy-handed co-pilot takes that bottle out. Just
with no gloves, no nothing on, just.
And then it eats through the suitcase so you can see the rifle hidden underneath.
They went a long way for that guy, I got to tell you. First, we're going to need acid to eat through the suitcase to show the gun, or otherwise we won't know the gun's there. Great idea.
So you get that. So I'm watching this and I'm thinking, well, there's supposed to be a bomber, but then this, I think the kid right away, he takes off running and they go chase him. I can't remember exactly when the hijacker goes up into the cockpit and they're both still, because he tells the guy he's telling the pilot to go a different way. And then when they land, I guess I don't know. But I just, wait a minute. Is that the assassin or is that the bomber? Or is there not a bomber? Maybe the bomber is the assassin.
There's a bomber.
And maybe, you know, and then this guy's head splits open and this silver slime crawls into his head and you're going, what?
Yep.
and the slit in his forehead has obvious similarities or suggests other things. I don't know.
That's just you, Jeff.
No, it can't be seen.
That's just you.
And I'm just like, what in the hell are they doing here? So anyway, I don't know. Do we have some final thoughts here?
Final
things we haven't talked about.
I feel like we haven't touched on anything
Yeah, I
Other
feel like
than-
I'm still looking for words. I
Yeah,
don't
it's,
know.
Yeah, same here.
But I'm glad I saw it for sure.
Oh, I'm glad you picked it.
So crazy.
Yeah, me too.
So crazy.
Yeah, it's just insane. I've never seen anything that had so much stuff going on at the same time and juggle so many little tiny micro stories and character developments and stuff like that. I've never seen something like that before. But it had all the wackiness of the a lot of Japanese movies. It really sometimes logic goes out the window, you know.
Right. Yeah.
And that was the case here. Yeah.
Sorry.
No.
No, that's the thing about Japanese films is like the creativity.
Yes.
Just don't expect a lack thereof whatsoever. There's always something. Expect the unexpected with Japanese creators
and just go
film.
with it.
Because it's just another world, and there's so much crammed into this because I just thought, okay, this was definitely another world. There's so much going on.
You wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe the stuff that goes on over there.
So the senator, played by, I think it's Eizo Kitamura, and then Mr. Tokuyasu, the businessman, Nobuo Kaneko, and Kathy Horan, Mrs. Neal, they were chewing up scenery right and left. I mean, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Especially Mr.
First, I thought he was the one that
water
chewed the hole in
water.
the side of the plane. It's
The faces that the businessman was making throughout the thing too.
I know, right?
Like when he saw the senator with his wife, he was like, oh. You know, he was just like,
Yes.
He's like, my plan is working.
I know. Oh God.
Same with the whiskey. When he gives him the bottle of booze and he starts chugging it down, then you kind of see a shot of him with the senator in the background, and he's got this kind of like things.
The faces he was making as he was pouring the little bit of water out of the canteen, and
oh.
You know, it was so realistic. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
So anyway, I feel like there's so much more to talk about, but I don't know what else to say because it's so crazy. It's the special effects are interesting and insane. The bodies that go off the cliff. This is an
experience. This is not
It is
a movie going experience. It's
it was endlessly entertaining, I thought.
Yeah.
I mean, I could just.
I really hope you guys write in because I would love to hear what your take is on this. If you've seen it before, or when you saw it, or if you watched it after, because it's wacky, and I just can't find the right words.
No.
It's fun and wacky and crazy and silly, bizarre. I get a thesaurus.
I'll go with those.
Space vampires.
Space vampires.
Yes, I definitely think it's one of the strangest things I've ever seen. Definitely wacky.
Especially, yeah. I don't know what else to say.
Right in
I
and
loved
tell
it.
us
I
what you
loved it.
think.
I loved it.
Yeah, I did too. I thought it was
great.
awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that I had a lot of stuff. I had no idea what was going on. I still don't remember any music. Try as I might, I can barely remember things that were said in it because I can't read worth a crap.
The music is great. There was tons of these dun 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 dun.
See,
over and over and over again. It was just,
I got none of that.
All right. Well, let's. I don't know. Let's that's it for this episode.
Let's do something.
Let's watch it again.
I'm so dumb. I'm gobsmacked.
Yeah.
Godsmacked, but I don't know what else to say. All right, so we have some feedback, and you guys there? And I don't know. Is it too hard for you to read one, Whitney? Are you able to see it on your? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do. Who wants to do the first one? Is Mike Zatz on the War of the Worlds, episode 125. Just came out yesterday as we're recording.
Oh, that was a good one.
I'll read it.
Okay.
Mike Zatz. This is amazing. Dave joining the classics. Great to see him joining the festivities. And another invasion from space of a small town. Maybe the Blob was influenced by this. This 1953 film that is still gripping. Probably the first alien invasion, Earth annihilation film to grace the silver screen. Iconic images, sound design and effects. Great podcast again. Miss Whitney, but you always find a way to find some great missed Whitney. Sorry. Miss Whitney, but you always find a way to find someone to fill the gap when needed. Hello to Daphne's cat, Clayton. Bit of trivia. Ray Harryhausen was in talks to do stop motion alien creatures for the film and possibly the tripod machines.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think I don't think we mentioned that specifically, but that was sort of the that's the only way for them to do it, and it was going to cost too much, and then stop motion wouldn't look the way George Pal wanted it to look, I guess. So. But yeah, there are tons. I'm willing to bet this is not the first alien invasion, Earth annihilation film. But it's maybe the first most memorable one or something like that. I have to go digging now. There's definitely other alien invasion films. I don't know about Earth annihilation. All right. Then we have a comment on episode 116, The Valley of Gwangi, from Michael Mohr. Chad, you want to read that? That was your pick, right?
Gwangi, yes. From Michael Mohr or Mohr, maybe correct us if we're wrong on there. I just discovered your podcast a few weeks ago, began binging, and I'm digging it. I never considered making a comment until I watched The Valley of Gwangi. As a fan of Ray Harryhausen, thank you for covering this film, but your descriptions of his techniques were painful. Very painful. When you're talking about the master, please do your research. I told you guys we were stupid. Also,
yeah, we should have called in one of our stop motion animation expert friends.
Yeah. Also, you touched on Willis O'Brien's connection to this movie, which was bigger than you think. O'Brien wrote the script for The Beast of Hollow Mountain, which, Jeff, you hinted a relationship to, but did not make the connection. Gwangi 2 was written by O'Brien. Harryhausen just made the movie that O'Brien wanted to make, but didn't. Beast was just an earlier version. Nonetheless, keep up the good work. P.S. Have you considered reviewing Vampire from 1932? We did do that one, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. And
we did do that.
Before I got to this comment, J. Bart replied to him and said, "Yeah, episode 55."
Oh yeah, okay. We did do that one. That was a great film too.
And I told him it was one of our favorites.
Yeah.
And then he replied to that.
Okay, and he replies to that saying, "Thanks, keep up the reviews. You have a great podcast. Vampire is one of my favorites too. When you guys talk about movies that you like and others don't understand, well, that's Vampire to me. You passed the litmus test. Keep up the great reviews." Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, thank you, Michael.
Why did I say Mark? I meant Michael.
Well, I
didn't do my research there either. Sorry.
I don't know what to say about his comment about painful descriptions of techniques, because we aren't stop motion animators, and I'm not. I think I did reply to him, say we're not experts in stop motion animation, but we are great fans of it. So we have a vague idea of how it's done, but we don't know all the terminology. You know, we would if we were.
The one thing I do remember Daphne and I commenting a lot on our opinions on costuming and the relevance of things, of how would or wouldn't fit certain scenarios and things. I remember that much. With that stuff. Yeah.
So we appreciate the comments.
Yeah. Sorry it was painful for you, but
yeah.
We're not out to cause anybody any pain. Very, very much pain apparently, but
I'm glad we passed the litmus test, so that's good.
Yes. Yeah. Hopefully we'll do better on some other episodes.
We pulled it out with Vampire.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
So we've got a few on the Blob, episode 123.
The Blob.
Yeah.
First one's from J. Bart. You want to do that one, Whitney? Can you?
Yeah, sure. J. Bart, you all left out one of McQueen's best Papillon.
Yeah, Papillon's one of his big movies with Dustin Hoffman. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
And then he says, definitely one of the best horror remakes ever. Doesn't get the credit it deserves.
True. So he's referencing 80.
Yeah.
The 80, late 80s remake.
Man Bear Pig 13. Interesting. Kind of like it.
Yeah.
The South Park reference.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Saw this in theaters recently. Pretty wacky. Oh, wow. And then
it's probably one of those. Speaking of, remind me this when we finish this. I got to tell Chad about something. And Daphne, you want to do Lone Wolf?
Oh, sure. Lone Wolf. This was a fun trip down memory lane for me. My introduction to the Blob was the remake, and I watched it on HBO as a kid in 1989. A couple of years later, I started reading the Crestwood series of books that featured the Universal monsters, as well as Godzilla and King Kong. I noticed one of the books featured the Blob, and I was so fascinated by the photos of the creature and the actors. I then finally watched it on TNT in the 90s, just sitting there in amazement. It's a true classic that we can fondly look back on, and honestly, the same goes for the remake. Another great Decades of Horror episode in the books.
Cool.
Yay.
Thanks, Lone Wolf.
Thanks, Lone Wolf.
Thank
You know, it strikes me that we've been covering these, you know, also in War of the Worlds, there was like, the crowds of people not acting at their best. Daphne brought up, and then we have the same thing going on here. Blob wasn't as bad, but there was a lot of people that were ignoring them. Anyway, so Chad, you're familiar with, did you see that The Thing is going to be in the theaters this summer?
Yes, I did.
Wow.
Awesome.
Oh, that is so cool.
Yeah.
I'm
going to keep my little peepers.
June 22nd, something like that. So definitely have to do that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
For the 40th anniversary?
40 years ago.
Wow.
I was a wee lad when I seen it in the theaters the first time.
You there, huh? You weren't that wee.
I snuck in.
That's very good. I love it.
All right. That's it for this episode. But every 2 weeks, we'll be focusing on a specific film released between 1920 and 1969. Next up is one chosen by Whitney.
El Libro de Piedra, which is the Book of Stone. It's a horror fantasy from 1969 in Mexico.
Awesome.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to this. I always like after Macario and Dos Monas.
Mm-hmm.
Dos Monas.
Do I have to read this
Dos
one?
Monas.
Yes.
Sorry. Lo siento.
Hate reading.
I'm gonna find one with closed captions too. For my, oh no, Chad's. I already know what Chad's picked for the episode after that.
Oh.
Should we spill it now or?
Fine, go ahead.
Mr. Sardonicus. William Castle.
Yeah,
oh my God. I have a great story about watching this. Anyway, everybody.
I thought it was Mr. Sardinicus. About a fish or something. I picked the wrong movie.
Saradinkus.
Sorry, Dinkus.
Somebody help.
That's it for this episode. There's plenty of ways to stay in touch with us. Please leave comments on the YouTube channel for Gruesome Magazine, or you can send emails to feedback@gruesomemagazine.com, or go to the Facebook group or the website. However you want to do it. But please leave comments. We love comments, even when they tell us that we're painful.
Yeah.
I even like that because
that hurt me right here.
Same.
I kind of liked it.
I listened to it again to see, try to find out where it was, and I
bet you did.
I don't know. But so, yeah. So catch us again here in 2 weeks for another great horror movie, as only decades of horror can do it. Say good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.